to me, if you're after your first client, don't worry about pricing. Don't worry about like having a perfect process, making a beautiful proposal. Like worry about getting the work. And then like that will put you in a process where you'll start to think about all those other things as they come up.
How do I get my first client? This is a question we get all the time. I just got out of school, or I've transitioned from doing engineering, or I was a scientist or something like that. And I found that my true calling is in design. I don't have any clients, so is this catch-22? How do I get my first client?
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem with a lot of different effective ways to approach it. You could approach it from a networking perspective, where it's about meeting a bunch of people who potentially need the thing that you're trying to offer. You could approach it from a putting the work out there that you want to do, type of approach, where, you do, you're your own client and you make the type of work that you want to be doing for other people. And showcase that and share it with people and put it in front of people who might actually need it. You could do the community approach, where you look around in your local community for businesses who you legitimately think you could help, and approach them and say, hey, like, here's how I think I can help you. What do you think? I think a lot of it's just about getting out there and trying things, as opposed to the perfect approach. Like, don't let the great be the enemy of the good here. To me, if you're after your first client, don't worry about pricing. Don't worry about like having a perfect process, making a beautiful proposal. Like worry about getting the work. And then like that will put you in a process where you'll start to think about all those other things as they come up. So I find that like a lot of times when people have find themselves in that position, the question's like really more about getting started than it is about specifically like who that first client is or what they're doing. You're saying like first client, but say you were working at a design studio for 4 years and then you decided to go out on your own, right? And start your own studio. Okay. Like the process for finding your first client in that scenario to me is vastly different from I just graduated from school and looking for my first client, right? If you're leaving a studio, you should be building relationships that whole time.
Okay.
You should think about the clients that you really like to work with, the people who you like as people, think people you want to spend time with, the projects that you really enjoyed, like the work that you really like doing. And that should answer a lot of those things for you. If you're at a school, it's much more about like switching from hypothetical to real. I think one thing that sort of makes me feel better thinking about that situation is that like, this is work that you will never stop doing. You will do that for the rest of your career for like as long as you want to do it. And so it's really just about like working out that muscle, about communicating with people, about sharing your work, about being passionate about like the work that you want to be doing, as opposed to this kind of rain catcher approach where it's like, well, I'll take whatever comes my way,
right.
Which is fine, but like we'll kind of get into the problems with that approach a little later, I imagine.
When you're working for somebody, planning your escape, like you're in Alcatraz or something, NorCal reference there. You're in Alcatraz, you want to get out of the big house. So you should be building relationships with clients, with people at the office. You should be sitting on those very important new business meetings so you get a first-hand education as to how new business is won and subsequently lost. And you should be setting up your side game, planning the escape. You get the life vest ready. You're getting the tools you need to dig your way out of prison, and you're figuring out what day the weather conditions are favorable, tides and sharks or whatever, and you're preparing for that moment to get out of the big house. And so that's what you should do, because to jump without a plan is just like trying to escape out of prison without a plan. You might get out, but you're not going to last very long. So it's kind of really important. Okay. The other thing that you can do is if you're a student and you got out of school and you're ready to start on your own without any experience, one of my tips for you is call up one of your professors. Call up all of them and say, look, I got out of school and I'm looking to set up shop. Are there clients or people that you can recommend that I can talk to? And if you did a good job in class, there's a good chance they'll refer you to somebody. People forget. A lot of times, especially in design school, your professors are working professionals or they are well connected, because guess who calls them for referrals? All these big companies like Google and Apple and Microsoft. So they have clout. So I would definitely do that. The other thing that I would ask you to do is when you go and talk to somebody, when you build a relationship, when you start that conversation, don't do this with the intent of asking for something right away. It's a brand new relationship. Start the conversation before you actually need something. Because I get hammered with this all over the internet. Hey, Chris, love the show. By the way, here's what I do. Can you hire me? And I just feel like everything else they said above that, like love your show, I'm a big fan, it doesn't mean anything. You're trying to flatter me, which won't get you anywhere, and then you're asking for something right away. Build a relationship. It takes time to do that. During the live stream, I'm not always able to get to everybody's questions and comments. And if you want to make sure that we get to yours, just tune in live and submit your question. Dan Nat asks, how do you find a mentor? I don't think you need a mentor. What you need are heroes, and heroes are plentiful, whereas mentors have a limited supply. This is an idea that I got from Seth Godin. So Dan, before you go look for a mentor, do everything you can to learn as much as you can from the available resources that are out there. Michael Beirut has an excellent response to this too. He's like, you can hijack your mentor. They don't even need to know that you exist. This comment comes from Milika. Chris and Eli are like older brothers, full of knowledge and value. This is gold. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for saying that. We do really appreciate these kinds of comments.